Hello. Thank you guys so much for clicking this podcast today. It's going to be an exciting one. I'm actually here with Dan, and he's been working on a lot of cool things in the past few months that we're going to get into. We're also going to be doing a giveaway, and it's going to be hidden somewhere in the middle of this podcast. So make sure you guys stay tuned to enter that ADA giveaway that we're going to be giving out shortly after this podcast. So just to get right into it, can you introduce yourself, your history in the blockchain ecosystem, and we'll use that to kind of lead into the exciting things you're working on now.
Sure, of course. First of all, thanks for having me on, Big Pay. It's a pleasure to be here yet again. So my name is Daniel Friedman. I am the founder and CEO of Zengate Global, the company that is building the Palmyra platform, which is a tokenized commodities trading platform that is focused on underserved commodities in emerging economies. And I'll get into that later. Just a little bit about myself. So I've been in the IT space for over 20 years, since the 90s. I've worn many hats. I was a developer. I was a project manager. I was a product manager. I was in commercial, just many different hats. As far as Web3, my work in Web3 actually officially began as one of the first members of Input Output Hong Kong at that point, which of course is the company that built Cardano. And so I was on the OG Cardano crew about a year and a half, almost 2 years before mainnet. Managed the pre-sale app project, which is basically what handled the entire Cardano pre-sale. Participated in launching the actual Cardano protocol, after which I switched over to more of a commercial capacity, and I basically cultivated the IOG commercial operation, in which I worked for about 5 years altogether, so 7 years altogether spent at IOG. And about 2 years ago, I decided to start my own company, Zengate, and I came up with the idea for Palmyra, and so here we are.
Awesome. Yeah, it's nice to kind of hear that history, and there really aren't too many people with that much years of experience in the space. I've been in Cardano for maybe 7 years, but I think you're pushing 9, and that's kind of the maximum that's possible. So to get into Palmyra, you guys are doing a few different things. What is it? Kind of what is this ecosystem, and how do these pieces all work together?
Yeah, so I think first, let me explain to you where the idea came from. And so this idea has been in development for 2 years now, but essentially what this is an RWA tokenization platform. And why RWAs? First of all, because RWAs are a tangible way to sustain the value of our ecosystem, of the blockchain ecosystem, and utilize this technology that we have built in the ecosystem and in the blockchain movement in a way where it makes a difference, right? Where we finally can make a difference in the lives of producers and the lives of business owners, and this is why it spoke to me really well. As I said, we focus on emerging markets. And one of the reasons why, or basically mostly the reason why I am very interested in emerging markets, is because of my work with Cardano and Cardano's and IOG's focus in the emerging markets. And so again, this is a place where you can have a lot of impact. Emerging markets are actually a place where people strive to leapfrog. So they will take that chance with new technology. They will go the extra mile to adapt and adopt new technologies, like digital credentials, like on-chain certification, like tokenization and traceability. And so that's why this spoke to me. That's why this spoke to me in such a big way. Now, specifically, Palmyra, as I said, is a tokenized commodities trading platform. So what does that mean? That means that we utilize on-chain tokenization and other on-chain Web3 tooling like traceability, embedded certification, embedded credentials, digital identities, embedded on-chain warehouse receipts, and much more to essentially create a much more robust value chain for producers of these commodities and for the buyers of the commodities. And again, this is because RWA is just such a great way to cultivate the power of the blockchain. And of course, our solution is not just all about blockchain. It is an aggregate solution. So what we did was we had several Web2 solutions on the platform, such as a negotiated rate card for producers for logistics, which reduced their logistics costs by 40–50%. We have remittances, which is very difficult with many developing economies and jurisdictions, and we solved this for our developing economies with the integration of Mango Pay. And so on the Web3 side, as I said, we have utilized tokenization of these RWAs of commodity lots. So what we do is we tokenize commodity lots utilizing NFTs. And so what's great about especially EUTXO NFTs is that the technology is very synergistic to embedded functionalities like traceability or features like traceability, which basically what it comes with. So traceability is embedded in our tokenization protocol. Another embedded feature is on-chain certifications. Again, it can be embedded with UTXO. And again, other tools as well. So essentially creates this conglomerate of different solutions that in the end make business easier, expose these producers to bigger markets, to world markets, bring a lot more availability to buyers, again, who are also MSMEs because it's a business-to-business platform. And what essentially it does is it creates what we call opportunity inclusion, which is something that a lot of these MSMEs, again, which is the focus of Palmyra, is micro, small, and mid-sized enterprises, lack right now. So that's it in a nutshell.
So the best products that I've seen built on blockchain are those products that kind of decentralize the incentivization for people to actually use and expand this platform. So if you're, just an everyday farmer that's, releasing a product to people, and that product is something that can use traceability, how can they just easily get on this platform and use it without, the knowledge of blockchain?
Yeah, and this is actually this is a great direction, and this is something that we took as one of our main UX features. So the way we designed the UX of Palmyra is the Web3 experience is actually abstracted. So the average producer and the average buyer do not need to know Web3; it just works. So. If you look at the platform, it does not look like, you don't have to set up wallets. You don't have to look on chain for data, but it is readily available for you. So the information is right there. Traceability information is right there. Certificates are right there. All these things are verifiable. Now, but with the abstraction of the Web3 experience, you basically lower the barrier of entry for the average person. And this is essentially what we did. And again, the average person should not really need to know or worry about what's under the hood. Yeah. They should just worry about, they should know that this platform makes their business better. And again, it is actually one of the reasons why we decided to explore underserved commodities, which actually I didn't touch on before. But just to kind of give you an understanding of what underserved commodities are, these are commodities that do not have the same access to trading, to volume, to tooling, to capital, as you said, as your big commodities would, like gold, like silver, like iron ore. These commodities are teas, coffees, grains. It's a $2.5 trillion field that we're actually bringing solutions to. These are underserved commodities. $2.5 trillion. This is what the problem that we're looking to solve with Palmyra. And what happens with these commodities is they're big, right? They're in the billions, in the trillions, but they don't have access to capital, or they have very limited access to trade financing at very high rates. They have no access to global markets, or very limited access to global markets. A lot of it is gate kept. We actually solved that with the platform. And so essentially, like I said, it's all about access. We
Yeah.
solve access for them. And that is what the platform is about. That's why the Web3 experience is abstracted, because it gives people more access, lower barrier of entry, an easier way to do business. You just do business. All our producers know is they make more money for their product, and they spend less time and less money on shipping their product. And our buyers know that they get these products still for much less money than they did before. And again, logistics, on-chain data, all is used to de-risk themselves, because you know what you're getting. You're getting Ceylon tea. You're getting Zambian honey. You have a way to prove this. You don't just have to trust me, bro. You have a way to prove this with the use of Web3. However, you don't need to know Web3 to use Web3 for this particular platform.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I've actually used the site, and it does seem easy to use, and it doesn't, give me that feeling of this is a complicated blockchain product that I'm going to have to, dive deep to learn all about it. So what's currently live? When I did log into the site, I'm seeing different options like tea and things that you can purchase. Are people actually using this today for their businesses?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So about a month and a half, almost 2 months ago, we rolled out version 2 of the platform. The original version was actually debuted last year at Rare Evo. However, we made a lot of adjustments, a lot of upgrades since then. We upgraded the Winter protocol, the tokenization and traceability protocol that is powered, that Palmyra is powered by, which is built on the Ergo blockchain. We have optimized payments. We have actually reworked the architecture. We utilize what's called Medusa, the Medusa architecture for the actual transaction, the actual transaction UI. And yes, you can go on there and you can now purchase these tokenized commodities. You can buy, you can sell, you can trace, and you can pay. So it's buy, sell, trace, pay right now. All of these commodities, of course, are on chain, so you can do all these cool things with them, as I described before. And these commodities right now are actually physically settled. So all of our current buyers take physical delivery of the commodity, like tea, like spices. We have spices on the platform. We have cinnamon on the platform. We have Zambian honey on the platform. And of course, teas, we have various different teas. We have Ceylon tea. We have tea coming out of Malaysia. We have tea coming out of Indonesia. We have tea from Myanmar. We have tea from Nepal, Kenya. And of course, we're expanding into other commodities like Greek olives, like Turkish hazelnuts, and of course, many other things like semi-precious stones. All of these things are going to be are coming online right now, or will be coming online later this year.
That's exciting. So just to provide some clarity for myself, earlier you mentioned that a lot of these businesses, because they're in emerging markets, they have a lack of funding. So when you're using the Palmyra platform and you're buying these tokens, is there an option to just buy them and have them delivered to your house? Or are you really operating as a funding source by tokenizing these commodities and having almost an investment in the commodity, and that allows funding for these businesses? Or can you also actually just purchase some of these items?
All of the above, actually.
Okay.
So, of course, they're physically settled, which means that you can take delivery of the commodity and then utilize the on-chain asset for transparency, for actually passing information on to your buyers. Because, like I said, this is a B2B platform. Of course, for yourself, for de-risking. But of course, what's coming up is actually even more exciting. Coming up later this year, we're going to be adding futures and forward contracts to the platform, which will essentially give the users the ability to trade contracts for these commodities as they do on the regular commodities market.
Yeah.
Another very exciting feature that we're doing, this is what you just mentioned, Pay. This is access to finance. So what we're doing right now is we're about to start tokenizing warehouse receipts. For those who don't know what that means, in commodities trading, many soft commodities, so agricultural commodity producers, utilize warehouse receipts to receive trade financing. So what happens is a commodity is harvested, processed, and deposited into a bonded warehouse. This warehouse then issues a receipt saying that, for example, I've just deposited 10,000 kilos of tea at this particular value, right? They determine the value, they determine the weight, they have proof of reserve. So what happens then is that you can actually, if you're a producer, can take this receipt to various different trade financing institutions and banks and get a loan against that, which is a collateralized loan against your commodity stock to process your new stock. So your new crop. And this happens all the time in commodities, in commodities production. You deposit a crop, you get a loan for the new crop, you process this crop, you deposit this crop, you get a loan for the next crop. That's how commodities production works on a bigger scale. Now, the issue is that a lot of developing economies, commodities producers have either almost no access to real trade financing, or it's so expensive that it's cost prohibitive for many. In fact, in Sri Lanka, they're paying over 30% in some cases, or an average of 30% per annum for trade financing. And this is quite a bit, as you can understand, quite a bit of interest, and kind of get into the bottom line quite a bit. So the idea we came up with is if you put these warehouse receipts on chain, you then basically integrate them with the rest of the tooling that we have, with the traceability, with the on-chain certifications, with the on-chain digital identities, proof of reserve, all these different things that you have on-chain right now that can be used to de-risk, which then will give them access to lending institutions like, say, neobanks, which are looking for de-risking tooling like this, but they just don't have it right now. Yeah. We will provide this tooling. Also, what we're actually doing is, and so what we call this is trade DeFi, not Tradeify, trade DeFi. And so this is going to be an aggregate solution. Again, we're going to aggregate connections and relationships with neobanks that are looking to lend at a much more manageable rate. And we're also going to be working with DeFi platforms to access capital and to basically give people the opportunity to lend their stables to producers in the form of a loan against their crops, which are, again, they're de-risked because you have all this tooling that essentially a bank uses to de-risk. So as an individual, now you can use the same tooling to de-risk your investment. And so these are also really short-term loans, 30 days, maybe 45 days. So you don't really have to worry about Forex risks. So on the producer side, you have access to much cheaper capital, right? Because of course you can provide stablecoin yield at less than 30%, because that's, average stablecoin yield right now is like half that. And even
that's kind of high, getting 10%.
You're like, high. Yeah. And even that is kind of high. Exactly. Here you have an opportunity to actually create a really good incentive for borrowing, and of course for lending as well, because the opportunity is so wide and there's such a big catalog of potential borrowers. And these are borrowers that we already have relationships with through our various connections in Sri Lanka and other jurisdictions. And so I believe that later this year, when this goes online, this will be huge. It will explode. And like I said, it's going to be an aggregate. We're going to be working with other DeFi protocols to bring borrowing opportunities to producers and lending opportunities to these protocol users. On the other side, we're going to be working with neobanks. And again, all this means is more access to manageable, to much more reasonable capital, and to basically lower spending, increase profits for these producers. And again, of course, then it gets passed on to the buyer. And of course, the entire economy then becomes a sharing economy. And so that's very exciting for us.
To me, it becomes a more real economy. If you look at DeFi currently in cryptocurrency, a lot of the tokens that we're investing in are really just infrastructure coins, that are operating the DEX or operating other various lending protocols. If you actually take this system here and you connect it with, a system that actually can provide value to real world assets or people that are producing real world assets, it's almost like you're making crypto actually real and connected to the real economy.
Exactly. Really, this part of this project was actually. I don't want to make it sound a bit negative because it's not. It's actually a very positive. What came out of this is something very positive. But working in this field for so long, I in the past couple of years, in the past few years, I kind of actually started getting irritated because we have the technology, we have the volume to make a difference, and still, what are we doing? Right? We just said it. These DeFi protocols, most of them are just sloshing liquidity back and forth. What are we doing with them? We're buying meme coins. We're buying, we're buying cartoon characters with them. I mean, it can do so much more. And this is what we've been promising, mass adoption. It's what we've been promising the mainstream for so many years, and it just not many are stepping up to do this. And everybody keeps saying, "Oh, we're still early. We're not that early. We can do it now. We can use this technology to make somebody's lives better now, and we can change things. We can make it a paradigm shift now. And no, you don't have to fall victim to regulators. You have to fall victim to governments and say, oh, well, the government is going to be against me. It's like, well, no, actually, if you sell it to the government in the right way and show them that there is a way for them to better themselves and their position, then they'll actually work with you. Don't try to go against them. See what you can do with them. And that's what we're doing. We call it the middle out approach. We utilize our government connections. We utilize our MBO connections. We utilize things like SRO connections. And we work with these organizations to really kind of try to encompass a wider audience and to really bring this technology to people who understand it and then can advocate for it to others so that there is this network effect that happens.
The essentially each cycle, there's kind of a narrative that's very hype and very popular. In 2017, it was like ICOs and layer ones, and then it was, DeFi and NFTs. And now it seems like RWAs is the next narrative. And you guys were very forward thinking on that. So, starting this, a couple or a few years ago, and then now seeing that the narrative has shifted towards RDAs, has that kind of changed the roadmap for you guys at all? Or were you already kind of ahead of the game and, you're still on the exact same path, even with this narrative change in the industry?
You know what? I kind of it always made sense to me. It always made sense to me that this where it would lead. We just didn't know exactly when. We were hoping sooner rather than later, and it did happen sooner rather than later, and we're very happy about that. But I didn't have any doubt that this is where the industry, or at least partially this is where the industry was going. And our focus has not shifted. If anything, it expanded. We are now saying, but wait a second, you can actually do this as well or that as well. Mm-hmm. Like I said, at first, the whole idea was to create a sort of an easier barrier of entry for tokenizing something real instead of just collectibles, right? So you tokenize and trade commodities like you would collectibles, right? And you kind of have the same kind of UX, right? So I was basically, the idea came to me after looking at OpenSea back in 2021 or whatever. Yeah, 2021. And I see all this volume on this platform, right? And I see, and of course I read financial news and everything, and you hear about this commodities exchange can get traction. The one in Thailand can get traction. All these commodities exchanges are and all these producers are having trouble with market access. And then you see a platform like OpenSea trading monkey pictures, and it's in the billions. It's in the billions. The volume is in the billions. And then you think about it, are people stupid? Well, no, because they see value in that. That's why they're trading it, right? And so then it came to me, said, well, what if we have this kind of experience, but with something real, with a real world asset, right? Like commodities, but we create a low barrier of entry. We create an abstracted abstracted UX so that it just looks good. It looks clean. It looks like you can transact on it, right? And it just pretty much anybody can do it, right? Anybody can understand it. It's visually appealing. That's also a big thing, right? Because one of the issues that we have in the blockchain industry is our UX sucks a lot of times. It just does. It just does. It's ugly and it sucks. And then you expect people to have all this, prerequisite knowledge. And well, no, don't expect that. I mean, if you want wide adoption for your platform, don't expect that people are going to know all these things before being able to use your platform. And like I said, OpenSea, even though it's a Web3 platform, they kind of made it very easy to dive into, right? The only thing that you kind of don't know is which NFT to buy, right? Because like what has value? And then you start thinking, well, what do I like? But that's where you want the user to go. You don't want them to go to like, how do I use this thing? It's like, no, okay, so there's a lot of stuff here. I know how to buy this stuff and sell this stuff. There's like people are buying and selling. This is fun, right? This is fun. It's fun. Commodities trading could also be fun. I mean, it is. So, and that was the idea. And so that's where it started, right? So just to have a low barrier of entry, a sort of a semi-degen way of having a UX and basically having this more appealing way of trading commodities. But then all these things started to make sense. Oh, by the way, you know that you can actually embed digital identities to this because you kind of need to, right? You need to, because if you're a producer, you need a digital identity. That makes sense now. We're actually solving a problem with this solution and not looking for a problem to solve with this solution. You can embed traceability just as a core feature. Again, it's needed. It's obviously needed. It's a commodity, right? And like I said, all these things started to kind of come to us. And then we started thinking even further, as we developed the idea and as we developed the platform, we said, well, what about on-chain certificates? What about on-chain warehouse receipts? And that's when it came to us. Trade DeFi. Trade DeFi is the way to go. Forward contracts on-chain is the way to go. For futures contracts on-chain is the way to go. And with the use of Web3 technology, you can actually create baskets. Sort of like what Atrium is doing with staking. You can do this with commodities in a way. You can utilize smart contracts because you can't just trade tea on the regular commodities market, right? It's going to tell you, okay, so what kind of tea? I mean, you can't, gold is gold, right? Gold is LBMA gold, so gold is always gold. So you can trade gold anywhere in any commodities market. It's always going to be gold. There is a worldwide accepted standard. But tea is different. There's different varieties of tea. So which tea are you trading, right? And so this is why traditional commodities markets cannot really trade tea effectively on the big commodities exchanges because of that. But with the use of this technology that we have, we can now actually create automated ways to assemble. You don't have to trade, single origin Ceylon tea from gold. Okay, you can actually have a tea basket, right, that you can trade, that you can actually create, and it aggregates all these different tea types in there with an algorithm. And so, like I said, things like this are possible now, and you basically give people a much bigger way to have access to wealth.
It's been really interesting to see how the crypto space has evolved and really led to this because, I realized it a little later than you. It was when I was using like cnft.io and JPEG. And a lot of people like, Cardano people were like, well, what the hell are we doing? We're trading pictures of cats when we were supposed to, be onboarding people in emerging markets, right? And it kind of hit me that this technology that we're using can essentially just almost be copied and pasted to real world assets. When someone's creating an NFT project, they have signing keys and, they have a policy ID, that could essentially be translated directly over to someone who's producing, real world items. And conscious wise, like, people's knowledge level on actually trading assets, I feel like has grown from this weird cat JPEG trading time, because you have a bunch of young people who would have never even thought of trading commodities before, but have now been, educated from real use on trading assets on the blockchain in the same way that they're going to be trading real world assets later in their life. So it's kind of interesting just to see that evolution, and I appreciate you commenting on that. So you guys have had 3 successful IDO rounds recently. Let's get right into the Palm token. Talk about the raise recently and kind of the utility that it has in the platform that I've been getting pretty excited about during this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I am thrilled by the response that we've gotten. So yeah, so we did 3 different IDOs. They were oversubscribed. In fact, the ones on Cardano and on Ergo, literally combined sold out. And so actually, yes, there were 3 stages, right? There was the RS-ERG IDO, which was followed by the first access NFT holders IDO round, which is basically NFTs that were given to our ISPO stakers. And so this is actually still live right now. You can stake to Palm 1 or Palm 2, the 99% or 50% pool, to get your Palm tokens. And so people have been staking with us for a certain amount of time. Earlier in the year, got an NFT drop, and then these NFTs then can be used, or they were able to use NFTs to get early access to the IDO. And it's important to mention that in our case, IDO means initial distribution offering, which essentially is a community round. It's an early community round, and we created these rounds because the community has been so instrumental in the success of this project that we wanted to get them in before the public sale, before the private sale. This is basically kind of like a community seed round in a way. And so that's why I'm really excited that we were able to really kind of engage with the community in this way. And so all 3 stages were sold out in under 24 hours. We actually allocated 5 days. And all of them together sold out in under 24 hours. In fact, the last stage, the one was open to everybody, was filled halfway into a space that we were having, a launch party that we were having for that IDO round. And when we were coming to the end of the space, and an hour into the space, half of that round was already filled. That's how excited people were. So yeah, it was a tremendous success thanks to the community. It once again kind of really bumped up our morale, knowing that the community really is engaged and really has faith in us, that they're so, they were so eager to get into the Palm economy. And so yeah, the Palm economy, what is it? Palm economy is actually one of the 3 pillars of the Palmyra ecosystem. So the pillars are the Palmyra platform, which we just discussed, the Palm economy, which is essentially the financial bedrock of the Palmyra ecosystem, and the 3rd pillar is the Palm DAO, which is a decentralized business treasury, a business development treasury that we designed again with the community in mind, because the community again been so instrumental in the success of this project, and not only just by saying you guys are doing a great job, but by literally engaging with us, reaching out to us in DMs and saying, hey guys, I have an uncle who's got a coffee farm. I have access to the Greek olive oil business. You know what? I have it keeps coming to us. We said, well, we want to nurture this. This is great. This gave us a lot of opportunities. So what we did was, as part of our tokenomics, we designed a decentralized business development treasury. We took some pointers from Catalyst, and so the way it works is you would submit a proposal. Basically, you say you have an uncle that can give you access to many underserved producers in the coffee industry. Go for it. Submit a proposal to the Palm DAO. The community votes on a proposal. If the proposal wins, it gets funded. And again, these will go through funding rounds, just like Catalyst. And and so this is just a way for us to really thank the community and to really keep engaging with the community and doing business with the community, because that's what we want to do. And not just the community, but the community first, because the community, like I said, the community is the reason why we came up with this. And so let's kind of get let's get back into Palm economy. So the Palm economy, the core asset of the Palm economy is the Palm token. The Palm token's main utilities are, the core utility is staking. Now, of course, this is proof of stake, so everything's got staking. Well, not like this. Staking the Palm token will actually help scale the platform. And the way that works is, the transactions down in Palmyra are all done in fiat. And again, this is because of that barrier of entry. You need to work with fiat here, because all these fields are in fiat, and you can't just kind of butt heads with regulators and say, no, you got to pay in crypto, because a lot of them don't want to do crypto.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of producers don't want to do crypto. There's not enough on-off ramps, right? So yeah, we stuck to fiat, yes, because that is the most practical way to bring people to the platform and to get people to utilize other technologies, Web3 technologies. Now, that's actually a good thing for the Palm economy, because what happens is a portion of this transaction fee gets then converted back into the Palm token and gets distributed amongst the stakers as rebates. And so essentially stakers will get rebates from the Palm, the transaction fees generated in fiat through capital infusion into the Palm economy. And with a very kind of intricate burn mechanism, we essentially create a deflationary model with constant fresh injections of capital into the economy, which is lacking in many tokenomics, because it's difficult to get new money into the tokenomics a lot of times. You know, once it launched, unless you buy it on the exchange or something, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a very exciting utility, and this is a utility token to its core meaning. So the next utility is, of course, the Oracle's incentives, and so the Oracle structure is very important, because this kind of system has a very nuanced network of oracles. This is on-off-chain data that needs to be validated, proof of reserve, proof of origin, authentication. All these different things. And so what you need to have is oracles that can accommodate you, right? Because on-chain data is only as good as the oracle that put it on-chain. And so with that, we've actually been looking to utilize the Oracle network that was actually designed by our tokenomics partners, 01x, which is it's a bespoke Oracle network that can create oracles that can do various different things, right? So basically, you'll tell them, okay, I want this specific thing, check, and this oracle will do it, right? It's not just like price oracles or something like that. Or if you want crop data, right, an oracle can check that for you. If you want IoT devices reported on, which is actually something that we're also utilizing, we're using IoT and deep-in devices on chain. You can do that with an oracle. We're also in talks with Chainlink for utilizing their Oracle network for CCIP and proof of reserve, which is a very interesting system. We're also going to be utilizing some Ergo oracles as well, because Ergo also has a really good open source Oracle infrastructure that we are looking into utilizing. And so again, an aggregate solution, the right tool for the right job. That's what we're all about.
Nice.
Yeah, and so essentially, I mean that's the core utility, and like I said, the third one, of course, is the Palm DAO. But again, it's a pillar of its own. And so just this token is going to be really exciting. It's like I said, it's a way for you to help scale the platform. If you're participating in the Palm economy, you're helping grow and scale the platform.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you're using some government connections and MBO connections. You know what countries are currently onboarded to the platform?
Yeah. So, well, our first pilot jurisdiction was Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. And so right now we actually have a pretty established presence in Sri Lanka. We actually have an office in Colombo. So there is Zengate SL in Colombo right now, physical office you can visit. and we have staff there. In fact, the gentleman that runs the operations, his name is Sella. He is our man on the ground. He is the one that's dealing with the producers, dealing with the buyers, dealing with the freight forwarders, with the brokers, and making sure that the platform is utilized in the most optimal way. Aside from this, we are also in Myanmar. So we're working with Myanmar producers. We are working with Indonesian producers, Kenyan producers, Japanese producers. We are also working with Greek producers and Nepalese. We're in Nepal. We're also now actually looking into working with Honduras, with the Honduran coffee industry. So like I said, it's constantly growing. It's constantly scaling our operation, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel really good, just having, working with a bunch of different jurisdictions. Like, for example, at Atrium, we had like 1,000 Indonesians join overnight because it was shared in a Telegram group. And we had to like hire an Indonesian moderator that could translate. And it's, crypto is global. And I think that's ever increasing. And it's really cool to see.
That's amazing.
Earlier you mentioned, some frustration that kind of led you to, build this product. And, it's been a couple of years since that frustration, but I'm seeing a good bit of frustration right now. And you usually see this in bear markets, but the frustration's, geared towards Cardano. And what I'm curious about is if that frustration is valid or if it is just the classic, bear market frustration that bags haven't gone up, because to me, I see that there are a lot more people actually building. There's a lot more developers. There's a lot more projects. There's people that actually care about this. So, what do you think? Has what you're working on kind of fixed some of those frustrations for you? Or are there some other things that we need to solve, in the short term to kind of dispel those widespread frustrations that I'm seeing?
Well, so for me, the frustration wasn't with Cardano specifically. It was with the entire blockchain industry.
Yeah.
And this is true for every single chain out there. Nobody really takes things seriously. Everybody mostly thinks about numbers go up, green bars. How many Lambos can I get for this bull market during this bull market? How many yachts can I be on? How many Rolex watches can I buy? And I mean, that's just a bullshit way of thinking about things. That doesn't work. I mean, it's not a sustainable way of looking for mass adoption. Now, specifically with Cardano, I mean, of course, we're not a perfect ecosystem. We're a growing ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, yes. There was a time that's actually been greatly mended now where it was difficult to build just because there was a lack of scripting languages that were palatable to a wider audience of developers. Mm-hmm. And so finding just Plutus developers was always pretty difficult. That was that was a difficulty, right?
Yeah.
It was not a deal breaker, but it was a difficulty. Also, the fact that we, don't really have. I mean, you're wearing a USDC shirt right there, and I mean, look, I am actually. I can't tell you which side I'm on. I would love to have a stable coin on Cardano with enough liquidity that we don't have to go to USDC. On the other side, yes, I would like to have the access that USDC provides. But no, I don't want to have the centralization and the bullshit that the USDC carries with it. So I don't know, because people are just like, well, which camp are you on? I'll be honest with you, I don't know, because at this point right now with the stable coin situation on Cardano, we still need to work. USDM just launched, great project. But it just needs time to scale up. Like all stable coins do. So that was a bit of a frustration, being able to hedge your gains and to say, I can keep these assets on chain. I don't have to go through a smart contract or a bridge of some sort, or an exchange to be able to hedge the price on these particular assets. And of course, but on the other side, I have no time for Cardano FUD. 90% of it is basically comes from ignorance or emotion, because people are emotionally attached to their bags, and they just FUD. And we're guilty of this ourselves. I see some of these things on socials. Where people are just, they'll say something about another chain, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, that chain is also kind of full of crap, but not for those reasons.
Different
like,
reasons.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but not because of that. Like, I wish you kind of didn't say that, because that actually makes my point sound, not as anyway. So there's that. But like, look, 90% of it is bullshit, right? 90% of it is just people trying to pump their bags and people being ignorant. There's so much that's available on Cardano, and there's so much that's available on Ergo to utilize, and specifically the EUTXO model. Now, for us to for Zengate, the EUTXO model was a business and engineering decision. Business with a big B. The reason being is that it is just much cheaper to do what we need to do, much more cheaper and effective and efficient to do what we need to do on EUTXO than on the accounting model and on EVMs.
Yeah,
that's just a fact. It's a more robust tool set for what we need to do. That's
I think
fact.
it would actually be impossible to do what you guys do, in emerging markets with an account model.
In a way that we're doing it, yes, because you would have to change your entire business model. And and even look, again, I know that we're launching the token on Cardano, and we are utilizing Cardano Oracle networks, and we are actually bringing the Winter Protocol to Cardano as well. However, the reason why we actually launched the Winter Protocol on Ergo is because of easier access and cheaper transactions. Because on Ergo, you don't have minting fees, right? You actually have just a transaction fee. So every single time you mint an NFT, all you pay is a transaction fee. And so for us, it was, okay, so I can't just use the same business model even between Cardano and Ergo, even though it's a UTXO. Because on Ergo, for me to mint a million NFTs would cost $10,000. On Cardano, it would cost $2.5 million, because it's what, 2.5 or close to that, right? 2.5 ADA, something like that, to mint an NFT. How much is it?
It seems a little lower now, but at least like 1.7.
Yes. Well, anyway, you get the point. And again, it's not a deal breaker, right? It's just you just need to rework the business logic a little bit. And that's what we're doing with the Winter Protocol, the Cardano open source Winter Protocol that we're actually going to be putting out pretty soon. So you can utilize Cardano for it, but I don't see how I could do this on Ethereum. I don't see how I could do this on, well, look, on Solana. I mean, all I say is, look, I cannot, because this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. That's where we're heading, a multi-billion-dollar monthly volume, and I cannot have billions of dollars of transactions fail because your chain is in mainnet beta. And that's just a fact. That's just a fact. And any honest Solana dev and Solana supporter will agree with me, and they have agreed with me, that for an application like this is just not feasible, because you would get sued for that. You can't just brush it off. It's like, oh, well, it's mainnet beta. It's like, no, you get sued for that. You will lose your license for that, because what we're actually looking to do eventually is to create a fully licensed hub and spoke commodities exchange, a tokenized hub and spoke commodities exchange. For that, you need a licenses, and you will lose your licenses if your transactions keep failing, and people keep losing money. I mean, it just doesn't work in the real world. It might work in Web3, it doesn't work in the real world. So that's what I'm saying. And the technology is the reason why we used Cardano and Ergo, and why we'll keep using Cardano and Ergo.
Yeah, it seems that people forget, the classic blockchain trilemma, and it's come to be true. I mean, if you look at the top 20 blockchains, they all have various problems. And if you look at, Solana versus Cardano, of course, Solana's done a 3x in the same amount of time that Cardano did, and, gone up much higher. But the big question is, what's harder to solve? Scalability after you solve decentralization, or is it solving decentralization after you solved scalability? And to me, my bet is that scalability is easier to solve after you've solved decentralization. But as you mentioned, with the failed transactions, with the network, closing down for a little bit, has scalability really been solved? I don't think so. But I think one issue Cardano does have is, we are a very siloed ecosystem. And, at least the public perception is that we're not welcoming and open and easy to use, although we may be. So we just have to kind of change that narrative. And I think, projects like, Zengate and Palmyra, I think can help change that narrative. Same with Atrium. We really all just have to get out there over the next couple of years and change that narrative. And I think we'll do quite all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have we do have, we have our own tribalism, of course. Every single ecosystem does. So do we. And I constantly speak against it. I don't think we should have tribalism at all because it's stupid. It's siloing is stupid. However, I think it's also because I think Cardano really does get a disproportionate amount of hate from these other, mostly these other, other guys trying to make a name for themselves, the Napoleonic complex. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And, we have a really vibrant and really vocal ecosystem. So, somebody tries to get us, we go at them, full force.
Mm-hmm.
And on one hand, it's fun, and everything. You feel like the community is active. On the other hand, it's like, well, yeah, but they're only looking for engagement for their piece of crap layer one that doesn't do anything right now.
We took the bait.
Yeah, and we took the bait. And I'm guilty of this as well. Sometimes, in fact, I've been stopping myself. If you actually look at my socials, I have been stopping myself from doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do this. I don't, engage with these trolls anymore that try to rag on, on Cardano, because that's all they're doing. They're, most of these arguments are idiotic. And there's a reason for that. It's out of ignorance. And if it's ignorance, well, you give them information. If they don't take that information, then you move on. And so that's one thing. But the other thing is, look, there are other cross-chain is the way. Like cross-chain really is the way. We can't build everything ourselves. We have to go cross-chain, the right tool for the right job. And as long as you sustain and maintain your first principles while utilizing other chains and what you do with them and which chains you utilize, then it's okay. It is okay. Don't be afraid. Don't bash somebody for, we decided to utilize this chain that's not Cardano for something else. We're still on Cardano for what we're doing, and we're going to keep building, but we're also going to be on this chain as well. Don't bash those guys. Not unless it's actually deserving, not unless it's like a cash grab or it's something dishonest, unethical, like really unethical. So that's where objectivity comes in. But yeah, I think a lot of it is like right now, especially, I think quite a bit of us kind of like going after all the fudsters and the fud muffins is just trauma, because we've been beaten for so many years by these VC chains and these NPCs, just bashing Cardano because, their favorite influencer, Pump My Bags Bro, told them to. That, I think that's where it comes from. But like I said, we need to rise above that, I think, as a community, because we're strong. We have the most amazing community in the Web3 space. We have the greatest minds in the Web3 space. And we can, we can own this thing, Cardano and Ergo can own this thing if we just kind of put the right foot forward and really concentrate on opportunity inclusion for us. And like I said, don't be afraid to work with others if if it makes sense, right? If it makes sense, if first principles align and you're not sacrificing your ethics for dollars, do it. Do it. Don't stay in one place just because, oh, I am a maxi. Makes no sense to me.
And that's why, projects like the Rosen Bridge are important, because when I go to a larger conference, even though I would love to work with everyone there and learn from everyone there, there isn't really a path to do so just yet. But it's been a great podcast so far. Is there any kind of closing notes you want to say before we head out of here?
Sure. Yeah. So we actually have, I don't want to make announcements of announcements. I'm not Justin's son, and in fact, I remember I think maybe I muted him because I used to get back in the last bear market, I used to get his notifications for some reason. I didn't have his notifications on me, and I would see his tweets. And there was a time when he started after the announcement of an announcement thing that he used to do back in the 2020 bear market. He started to calling himself Justin the Son. Justin the Son. That's when he got muted by me. So he didn't get blocked, but he did get muted because
that's Justin, a warning out there to everybody.
Justin the Son. Okay, the intern needs to chill, man. Just tell the intern to back off, switch interns, because that is just really stupid. So I don't want to be Justin the Son here, but yeah, we have quite a few things coming up. Of course, the launch of Palmyra, the Palm Economy is coming up in most likely late May, early June. Now, I don't have a date on that. We'll have a more specific date. This is not written in stone, but this is what we're aiming for. And of course, we are currently working with listing on several SEXs, centralized exchanges, as well as DEXs, and I mean SCXS plural. So there's more than one in the pipeline. And we actually have again, sorry for the announcement of an announcement. You will hear about this very shortly, and I think many of you will be excited, but we actually are partnering up with a big, amazing project in the Cardano ecosystem, and we're super excited about that. So more information to come on that. Sorry, Pei. I just kind of gave announcements of alpha, but it wasn't too much actual announcements.
Daniel the Son. I appreciate the
podcast. Yeah. Don't call me that, please. Daniel the Friedman. No. I sound like a Scottish lord. Yeah, but man, the next 2 months are going to be amazing, and the next 10 years are going to be amazing. But we really got a lot of stuff happening in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Really excited to have everybody on board. Of course, right now we have the private sale happening. Like I said, the community round was before the private sale. So now we have the private sale that is really quickly filling up, actually. And after which we're going to have the public sale. The Palm Economy is going to have the public sale. And then it's go time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to the next one in the next 6 months.
Same as me, although it's pretty tiring. I just got back from, the lake once called Dubai, the lake of Dubai.
It's looking like Florida now.
Yeah, it is. It looked like the what do you got? The wetlands? What do you call them?
Oh, Everglades.
The Everglades. Yeah. It looked
so
much like the Everglades because I actually took a tour of the Everglades. It looked a lot like the Everglades for a long time. I've been traveling for a month and a half. Dubai, Hong Kong, US, Tokyo. I'm finally back. I'm finally gonna have a couple of months off, maybe a month and a half. Off meaning at home, not off meaning work, because the work still continues. But at least I'm not traveling. I can stay in the vicinity of my house.
It's going to be good for your brain, that one month.
Yeah. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. Really excited to be back. And yeah, but of course, the team is grinding, man. The team is grinding day and night. The product is getting better by the day. The Palm economy, the Web3 side is growing by the day. The Palm economy account is blowing up. Of course, like as I mentioned before, you can always, if you weren't able to get into the IDO, you can always stake with Palm 1 or Palm 2 to get your Palm. And yeah, just really looking forward to launching the Palm economy and just seeing it in action and kind of seeing all this stuff that from napkin to reality come to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is a great
very
feeling.
Exciting times ahead. Very exciting times.
Yeah, we're kind of in a similar position. The napkin ideas for a year and a half ago are finally live on alpha. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. And you do you have your own things coming up. I mean, have you announced your things yet? Or are you going to announce them?
We've announced no things.
Okay,
there's another Peyton the Sun for you guys.
Yeah. So there are things coming up. Yeah, for Atrium. I'm actually very excited about Atrium. Yeah, and yeah, we're looking forward to because really is a great product. I think really is needed in the ecosystem.
Thank you. So if you guys made it to the end, type in Palm Economy down below in the comment section. That'll get us both real excited. Make sure you like it. Make sure you go follow Zengate and the Palm Economy on Twitter. A lot of exciting things coming out every day. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.